Good morning and welcome to the Franchise Minute. I am Anna Wiles, the franchise economist, and I am delighted to have Kim Robinson with First Light Home Care with us today. Kim, welcome to the Franchise Minute.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here to talk about First Light Home Care.
It's really very exciting. And this morning, I sent out a newsletter to 13,000 people telling them to tune in because this is big, really big.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I can't wait for you to share statistics about the senior demographic and things like that. But first, start us off, Kim, by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you came to work at First Light Home Care.
Yes. So franchise development is actually the second half of my career. I got into franchise development in 2008. I've had the opportunity to grow many brands, but not a brand that was really near and dear to my heart. And when I had the opportunity to represent First Light Home Care through Brand One as a franchise growth organization, I couldn't have been more thrilled. First Light is extremely personal to me, which I think is important to get behind a brand that really resonates with you. My experience with in-home care with my mother-in-law, the last 2 years of her life, she had caregivers in her home to care for her. And it was the most beautiful experience to watch because they truly, truly cared for my mother-in-law. And they made her feel pretty, and they put makeup on her. And it was so amazing for my husband's family because they couldn't be there. They're still raising their children and, in their career. So to see the magic that these caregivers bring into families' homes at such an emotional time, it's such a noble thing to do. So for me now, on the other side of this, to have the opportunity to seek those franchise owners to help grow this amazing brand, it's a calling, and it's the most noble thing I think you could really do.
It really is. This is one of those feel good, make a difference, and make a dollar businesses. So tell the audience a little bit more about what First Light Home Care does. What are the services that are provided and what makes it so very special?
Yeah, maybe I'll start from the beginning and how First Light got started in 2009. Yeah, two really, really smart gentlemen. They went to college together at Villanova, private equity guys, but they have a heart that's much bigger than their head and their wallet, and they wanted to do something outside of the private equity space, and they wanted to do something to make a difference. And this was their passion project with their personal money. And they're so wildly invested in finding the right owners. We are in-home care. Non-medical care in the home to help families and seniors because we're going to take care of our parents and our grandparents. That's just the circle of life. That's what we do. And that's what First Light does. Comes in and then it allows our parents and grandparents to age in their home with care and with dignity.
That's really wonderful. So they age in place. That seems to be the phrase that I've heard a great deal. And so elaborate just a little bit on like in-home care. I've heard of it's non-medical. And so that means personal care, companion care. Explain to the audience what those things are.
Yeah, it can be a number of different needs in the home. Companionship is really one of the most, the ones that we see the most. And that's what my mother-in-law really needed. Medicine management, at that point in life, in a client's life, they typically have a whole array of medicine that needs to be maintained. Help around the house, food prep, maybe transportation, post-surgery care. It's a whole slew of services. If you think just non-medical, with our seniors.
Well, I know getting to doctor's appointments is hugely important. So that's fantastic that in the food prep and, helping with the house, picking up, helping people get dressed or whatever it is that they need. That's just really wonderful. So let's have you explain to the audience, Kim, what the role of the owner is, how he or she is spending their time.
Yes, I will. And we want owners that want to be involved in the business. There are really two hats to be worn inside of a First Light. The owner ideally is going to wear one of these hats. You have an operational side of it and a business development. Ideally, we would love to see the owner in that business development. It's a very forward-facing role, but out in the community, building relationships with any of those businesses that could perhaps refer clients to you. We want our owners to really be the face of the business. And businesses out there, they want to know who they're referring their clients to. They want to know that when I send, Susie off with, in-home care, she's going to get the absolute best, and you know who you're sending the client to. That's ideally the role, but that's not everyone's personality, and that's okay. Some folks have a different avatar, and that's the operational side, really behind the scenes, recruiting, scheduling, managing, sort of all of the behind the scenes piece. That's another role. So really two roles, operational or the business development role. Two very unique roles, but we need a person in each one of those roles. If the franchise owner is not that operational person or not that business development role, then let us help you find and fill and train for the other role.
Well, that's huge that you help with that. And I love the fact that First Light Home Care lets the franchisee, the business owner, decide which hat they're wearing and then can hire that other skill set for them. I just love that flexibility. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more. So on the business development side, who are the type of businesses that referral relationships are being built with? What type of businesses?
Yeah, so the one that really comes to mind is when a patient leaves the hospital and they're not ready to go home, they go to what's called a rehab facility. And the rehab facility cares for that client until it's time for that client to maybe insurance stops paying or whatever the reason, and the client comes home, but the client still needs in-home care. So from a rehab facility to in-home, get in front of those rehab facilities. They are sending their patients after they complete their time and they need to go home. Get in front of those rehab facilities because every single one of them could potentially send clients to you.
Absolutely. All right. So that was very helpful. And just other medical, like discharge planners at hospitals and probably geriatric physician practices and things like that?
Yes, all of those. Yep, absolutely.
All right, great. Well, we love to crush preconceived notions on this podcast, Kim. So what is one that you have to deal with pretty often that you'd like to address right here and let our audience know that it's not what they're thinking?
Yeah, so I think it would be caregivers. The struggle to find caregivers. How do I find caregivers? Because our business is non-medical and our caregivers don't need certain certification, nursing, CNA background. We really are just looking for someone with a servant's heart. And without with the non-medical, we have a huge cast, a net to cast to find those caregivers. We really want someone who, a lot of them, they're really cut from a different cloth. Caregivers it's a calling for them. This is something that they truly want to give back and care for others. And it's much easier. We are always, the more clients we bring on, the more caregivers we need. That is just the business. But because it's non-medical, we have a much wider cast, and find those caregivers and be the absolute best employer. And they will stay with you. They're pretty loyal.
And what I love about your training is that you help your owners with how to recruit. You role play with them to make sure that they're asking, the right questions to get the right people on the team and helping them learn how to be the employer of choice and be the best place for these caregivers and how to, keep the caregivers loyal and how to treat them and all that sort of thing. I just think that's wonderful because that's a big concern that I hear a lot as a franchise advisor.
It's so important. And if you think about our caregivers and how emotional their jobs are and how stressful their jobs are, I hear so many of our franchise owners at First Light, their focus every day is on their caregivers and their mental health, their physical health. And a lot of our franchise owners, they truly, truly care about their caregivers. They're going to call them every day to understand how their day was and find out what they need next day, the next day to have the best day and to help their client have the best day. You have to be the absolute best employers. Caregivers will be so faithful to those employers that truly care for them and truly understand what they do every day. They're really miracle workers.
And it's a people business. I mean, it's hard to think of any business not being a people business, but this one especially, it is about your caregivers. It is about the clients you serve and about the referral relationships that are built by the owner.
Yes.
So that it's a wonderful business. All right. So Kim, if there is one takeaway you want the audience to have about First Light Home Care, what would it be?
It's a good question. I think I would say, I know exactly what it is. They say not all teams are created equal and not every team makes it to the Super Bowl. Well, First Light makes it to the Super Bowl every year. And it's a true testament to our owners' commitment to make sure that our franchise owners are successful. We have an amazing rock star CEO. She was a franchisee and a franchisor, which is extremely important because she understands the business through the lens of a franchisee. And she is a collector of talent. That's her calling. She's a collector of talent. For every 4.6 franchisees we've got one support person in home office, and that's not franchising standards. And that's a true testament to Bill and Bernard, our owners, and their commitment to making sure that every franchise owner that we bring on board, they're successful. Because the more successful franchisees we have, the more families and communities we get a chance to impact. And
absolutely.
Can't think of anything more important than that.
I can't either, Kim. So Kim, we are out of time. Thank you so much for being here. If someone wants to learn more about First Light Home Care, what do you recommend they do?
Anna, they should call you. You're the expert, 20 years of experience. Call Anna. She, number one, will help you understand franchising, and then the First Light Home Care business model and support, and to see if this is the right fit for you.
Absolutely. I know who you're looking for, and I will absolutely send them your way, Kim. So, audience, this is Kim Robinson with First Light Home Care. So nice having you, Kim. Thank you so much for shedding light on this hugely huge in-demand business and growing business in-home senior care.
Thank you.
All right, and audience, thank you for being here. And be sure to come back next week because we're going to be talking about one of the booming home service franchises. See you next week at 11:30 Wednesdays. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. See you next week.